The other day, someone asked me how I can use cannabis cards to do a reading. And I was like, okay, it's a good question. They wanted to know, do I just have to do cannabis related readings? And I'm like, no, you can use cannabis cards to do any kind of reading. So today I'm going to use all of my cannabis decks to do a love reading on Erica. I think it's Erica Mena, if I'm not mistaken, Mena, and her beau was Safaree. I don't know anything about this couple. The only thing I know is that Safaree is a Cancer and Erica is a Scorpio. And I know they have children, and that's it. That's all I know. I didn't bother to learn about them because I figured the cards would tell me everything I needed to know anyway. So I am going to do this reading. The first thing I'm going to do is the introduction, and then we're going to get right into these cards. My name is QueenAusetHeru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to anybody and everybody who might like it too. Please drop us a positive comment in the comment section. And if you would like to get a reading done, please email me or hit me up on social media. All my information, including my Patreon, is underneath this video. I also have my Amazon wish list in case you want to send me a gift. Gifts are my love language. And so is my Cash App and my PayPal in case you would like to send a donation to the channel. I also have merch underneath, Ask an Aquarius merch. And I have, what's the other one? ArchAngel Michael merch. So if interested, please check it out. All right, so let's get into this. So Erica's card is first, then we have Safaree, and then we have the outcome. So the first card is Erica's. Erica's card is reversed. Okay, so I'm going to turn it in the right side so you'll be able to see the artwork as I read the interpretation. So, wait a minute. All right, so when you get the death card reversed, it basically means that whatever the situation is, in this case it's a relationship, that this is something that she needs to let die. As a matter of fact, she should have let this die a long time ago. Whenever you get this for a relationship, it's a relationship that you're in or you're engaging in, but it's not going right and you just won't let it go. Sometimes it's codependent, sometimes it's just toxic. We're getting ready to see with some more cards, like some more particulars, but the bottom line is that they're saying that this is something that she should have been let go. And yeah, it's like on Frozen, let it go. You know, that's what this death card is indicating to us. His card also is in the reverse. We're going to flip it around. Now, when I first pulled this card, I was very surprised because the Nine of Swords indicates being upset about something. So he was very upset about whatever happened in the relationship. And now that it's reversed, that's telling us that he's coming out of his, it looks like might have been even a depression. But what I didn't understand was why. I'm like, why? That's interesting. Usually I would see this kind of a card more so with a feminine energy. But what I found out is Safaree is a Cancer. And that was like, oh, that's what makes sense here. Because even though we said that Erica is a Scorpio, Cancers, men and women, feel things very deeply and don't a lot of times hide it. Very Aquarius in that way, whereas they don't always tell their feelings. And so in this case, we see that Safaree is actually starting to feel better. So that's actually a good thing. And the outcome card is the Eight of Swords. So even though he's starting to feel a little better, they still are not out of the woods yet. The Eight of Swords indicates that they're still in a bind. This is when two people, well, first of all, I see like with Erica remember I said before she needed to let it die. And this card here is saying that she's still, even though the relationship looks like to me is all screwed up and they may have already broken up, they haven't let this go. There's still something going on behind the scenes where they're not really letting it go. And a lot of this energy I see right here coming from her needing to free herself from this situation. So they both need to leave each other alone is really the bottom line. This card right here came up for both of them. This is a clarity card. This is all you see, and you can just see it in the figure. You see one figure walking away and one figure standing there. So this is how we get the indication that these two have actually broken up, and there's also a third party involved. In case you didn't notice, there's a third woman here. So one of them got a woman that's in the background, but you know, it is what it is. So what they're telling us is that they have, you know, broken up, but they still haven't let each other go. And I think that that makes sense because they have two children. And it's really difficult to walk away emotionally when you still have to co-parent with the other person. So that's one of the things that we see coming up in their clarity. So I'm expecting with these two, I'm expecting fights. Seriously. There was swords here. Too many swords for my liking. So I am definitely expecting, like, you know, probably already having been like wild kinds of fights. You know what I mean? And this probably will continue until they come to a different space. The High Priestess card came up for their other clarity card. So it says that the two of these, here we are, the two of them need to take this from more of a wisdom standpoint. So it's like, okay, you know, maybe get a mediator or a therapist or someone, because they need to take this like, okay, this time for us to let this go. We're going to have to co-parent together. How can we do this in the most harmonious way possible? So the cards are suggesting that they get another person, a counselor, a mediator, an elder, somebody like that that helps out. And also kind of deal with it from more of a spiritual standpoint. Like, okay, well, the relationship is over, but we still have these children and they still need to be nurtured. So that's what the energy is giving me here. I really don't see this couple coming back together in a way that's positive. You know, I could see them maybe being codependent and coming back together, but they're always going to break up because there's a very toxic energy going on between the two of them, as we're getting ready to see in their next set of cards. Let me turn these right and turn this one this way. All right, so this is giving us information moving forward about the future. So as you can see here, this first one here is called Cherry Pie. So the way that this deck works is that it's going to tell us all about what's going on with them, and they have these keywords that go along with the term. So cherry pie is positivity. So what this card is telling us is that if this couple intends to make it, they need to step away from the negative energy. This is saying that there has been negative energy, there has been tension, there has been negative thoughts. It could have been even self-hatred or hatred of each other. This is really an ugly energy. So this is telling them to dismiss these negative energies, these negative thoughts. Don't beat themselves up or each other, and move on. So cherry pie is giving us the indication that it's definitely time for both of them to grow up. It's like, okay, it didn't work, fine. These kids still got to get raised some kind of way. So it's time for them, according to the cards, to just, you know, step away from the drama. Remember they mentioned to them having the High Priestess be like the mediator. So that could actually help them not fight as much. Maybe they already do have somebody in that position. It could be an elder, like a parent, or an actual professional. But the point of the matter is that they need to step away from the drama, step away from the negativity, and just be able to do what they got to do for their family. But Scorpio and Cancer are two live wires, man. They live wires. I mean, Scorpio women, positive or negative, they're very assertive with their energy sometimes, which is not a bad thing. But in this case, they need less assertion and more cooperation. Cancer men can be difficult sometimes. I dealt with one, you guys, a lot of y'all know that, and they can be a difficult energy, just the emotional aspect of it, and sometimes not a cooperative energy. So I'm thinking to myself, they're both probably not cooperating with each other based on that vibration. Lots of negativity going on. Now, I have never seen them or, you know them to be negative or have fights or whatever, but the cards are telling us that behind the scenes, or maybe, maybe somebody else does know, just not me, but it is going on. Number two, the Space Queen. The Space Queen here says that they both have to work on their feelings. This card actually recommends some type of couples therapy, family therapy, I think would be more appropriate. So we're seeing here, we had the High Priestess earlier. So they're saying that this couple probably is going to need some help. I don't think it's going to be easy for them to co-parent. It probably has not been easy for them. It says here that feelings are still underneath the surface. There's anxiety, there's paranoia. There's raw energy and raw emotions. There has been depression, like I told you before. I saw it with Safaree strongly. I didn't really see it with Erica, but that doesn't mean it wasn't present. I saw it strongest with him. So it's saying here that these two have to deal with their feelings and deal with them separately, and also they may want to come together and deal with them in a more therapeutic setting. And then we have our outcome card, the last card. This card says they need to be decisive. They need to work together to make good decisions for their children. They need to be firm with that. Whatever they decide to do, they need to stick to it. They should not second guess themselves or each other. And they need to relax. They need to calm all this energy down, relax, don't second guess each other, and work together. So I don't know if that's going to happen. This is just what the cards are saying they need to do. But based on the energy I'm seeing in that first card, I don't know if it's actually going to happen. I just hope that it does. There we go. Now we're going to take a look at their next set of three. Remember I told you about the feelings that are there. The unconditional love card is saying that, first of all, they really did care about each other. So sometimes we wonder that after a relationship is over, it's like, this person ever really even care about me? But apparently, yeah, it's saying here that they did care about each other. Let me see something, guys. I'm going to turn on the light because these are a little darker than the other ones. And let me move this way. Got it. So we're going to look at them, but we can't look at that way. We have to pull them this way. Got it. So like I said before, the unconditional love card is the first card. So like I said before, there are feelings here that have gone unresolved that need to be resolved. But the unconditional love card really ties into the fact that yes, they did care about each other. And also the kids, once again. Everybody who's ever had a child with someone who they had to co-parent with will tell you that this can be really difficult. There's unconditional love for your children, and some of the times that causes strife between the two parents. So we are seeing the need here for them to tap into that love more, not to let it be a dividing force, but to let it be a unifying force. Also, it's saying that they are not each other's soulmate. So even if they do come back together, I don't think they're going to stay together ever, because they're not each other's unconditional love. They are each other's life lesson, I would say, more so. And they're supposed to get the lesson, learn from it, and move on, you know? So there is another energy out there for both of them. Now, this one here is talking about him. This one is saying, see how the arrow is right there? This one is telling us that he needs to focus on what it is that he wants to create. So instead of focusing on the shambles of this relationship, he needs to focus on what he does want. Law of attraction. So I'm pretty sure 9 times out of 10, let me push this back and see if I can turn it over. 9 times out of 10, they both want good things for their children. So it's just like, focus on the things that you both want. Also, is telling him to focus on like his life, his manifestations, and moving on. Like, don't focus on the past, don't focus on her, just focus on the future and focus on moving on. Because sometimes cancers are very stuck in the past, and this arrow is telling him to go forward. So it's like, turn your back to the past, don't keep looking back there. Because like I said, sometimes cancers get very stuck in the past and they have a very difficult time moving forward. So they're telling him not to get caught up in that vibration, because it'll make it more difficult for them to give their children that unconditional love in the first card. And healing. This is how come I talked about earlier. Remember when I mentioned I really think they should do some kind of family therapy or counseling, because they got the healing card for their last vibration. So that means there's a lot of, remember we said unresolved feelings, unresolved hurt. You know, there's a lot of that. And most of us that break up with somebody have a lot of that. So this card is recommending healing that. So instead of hating each other, being mad at each other, not speaking to each other, whatever they're doing in that vibration, this card is indicating talking, working together, using that therapy. I said family therapy. That's what I would do. I would go to the family therapy, because even though you've broken up and probably won't get back together, you still have 18 years per child at least. Because my daughter's father is still around. Okay, and my daughter's almost 30. It's not like they're going to grow up and then everything dissolves. You're going to have grandchildren. That person is probably going to be in your life for the rest of your life, if you like them or not. So it behoove you to deal with it in the most healing, productive way possible. And that's not easy in the beginning, especially with two people who aren't cooperating with each other. I went through the same thing with my daughter's father. We were not cooperating with each other. It was both of us, and we never really got along. And it made the situation much more complicated than it really needed to be. And the last part of their love reading is their closing advice. So let me get these. This is hers, this is his, and this is our outcome card. Pull this forward. Be patient. Hers says be patient, give it time to grow. So remember when I talked about they needed to work on their co-parenting? That's what they should be cultivating right now. They should be being patient with each other, first of all, because this is not going to be easy. You have two very volatile personality types when you have a Capricorn, a Cancer and a Scorpio. Very volatile energy. So she has to be patient with this process. Work through things, talk through things, breathe through things. To see therapy on her own. They shouldn't just go together. They should go separately, because if she doesn't, she's going to be very, very bitter. And that's usually what happens in these types of situations. And him too. I think they both should go to therapy together and independently. If I was their therapist, that's what I would recommend. Number 2, his card says life isn't fair, but you can choose to be fair. So this is saying, yeah, this isn't a fair situation. Sometimes things are going to happen that are messed up or difficult to deal with. But this card is telling him to treat her and the situation fairly. And if they treat each other that way, it will make it so much easier for them to do this. So I'm not getting any hallmarks from this couple like they're going to have a fairy tale happily ever after. Even though when I first saw their signs, I was like, oh, Scorpio and Cancer, that's a great vibration. But it's just not working for these two for a number of other factors, depending upon what's going on in their, the rest of their chart, what has happened between the two of them, what is all that negativity and strife they've had, all of that. And the outcome says gratitude goes a long way. So this is telling them to be grateful for their children. Be grateful for what they've taught each other. Be grateful for the journey. Whitney Houston said, the ride with you was worth the fall, my friend. You guys hear me say this a lot because I always feel this way about my Libra, one of my ex-entanglements. I always feel like the ride was worth the fall. So I feel like in this case, if they can look at it, look at the bright side, look what they got. You got two beautiful children. You may not have a relationship anymore, but you can cultivate a decent, healed, productive friendship that you can co-parent in. So be grateful for each other, be grateful for your children, and move on. So that's the recommendation that, I'm sorry, I was going to put it back up. But that's the recommendation that this couple is getting for moving forward. I feel like this relationship is toxic for them both. And the older their children get, it starts to affect the children as early as birth, for real. Even when you're in utero, if your parents hate each other, that could be a problem. It's even something that people through past life regressions and other meditations have even recalled their parents, hating each other. So I think that it would be good for the entire family if they can take the advice of the cards. But I'm going to tell you, honestly, I think it may take a little bit of time. Because remember, these things take time. All right, guys. That is my reading on Erica and Safaree. Let me know what you think. If you know about this couple, let me know if you think that they'll take this advice. And let me know any things that may fill in some of the gaps that those of us who don't know them may be interested in hearing. All right, guys, you come back soon because I got a lot more to say. See you later.